Discover the mastermind behind Red Bull's triumphs in Formula One, Adrian Newey, the renowned aerodynamic expert. With decades of experience, his expertise has shaped the team's success in navigating through rule changes. When a legend like Newey raises concerns, it's a signal to listen up. That's why we dug deep into his thoughts on the new engine regulations, and we're here to reveal the details. Join us today as we unravel Newey's insights and uncover whether there's reason to be concerned. But before we do that, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button down below if you like all things F1. Alright, now let's get back to the video. Adrian Newey has expressed concerns about the possibility of Mercedes once again dominating the sport when these new regulations take effect. He worries that history might repeat itself with Mercedes being at the forefront of the competition. He said, "When the hybrid regulations first came in, there were huge differences." And then he added, "Mercedes did a fantastic job with their power unit, and others were varying levels behind. Now, it's closed up, so I'd say there's maybe 2 or 3% in the power difference, which is 0.2 to 0.3 seconds difference perhaps, which when the grid is so tight, it is still a big number. But it's not like the 1 second when regulations came out. The big risk now is another power unit shakeup in 2026. There could be a gap for a while. If there's a big gap in power units, it takes time for the manufacturers to understand and close it, whereas chassis people can have a quicker reaction time." Back in 2014, the engine rules in Formula One went through a major overhaul. The key change was the switch from the old 2.4-liter V8 engines to a smaller 1.6-liter V6 engine. But this V6 engine is nothing like the one you find in a regular Ford Focus. It's a turbocharged V6 with advanced electrical components that can deliver an extra 160 horsepower. In 2019, Renault claimed to have achieved 1,000 horsepower from their engine during qualifying sessions. Considering that the cars weighed just a little over 900 kilograms when fully fueled with the driver, you can imagine the immense power these engines produced. Among all the teams, Mercedes was particularly successful in mastering these new regulations. Their engine played a significant role in their dominance during the turbo hybrid era. Mercedes had a clever trick up their sleeve. They divided their turbocharger into 2 parts, placing the intake turbine and compressor at opposite ends of the engine and connecting them with a long shaft. The unique design of the Mercedes engine wasn't just about increasing horsepower. It aimed to improve overall performance. The split system required much less cooling than a traditional setup, allowing for a smaller intercooler in the car's side pod. This meant that Mercedes had smaller and more aerodynamically efficient side pods. This setup also resulted in a more responsive engine, increased power from energy recovery systems, better fuel efficiency, and a superior center of gravity compared to Ferrari and Renault. While other teams using Mercedes engines enjoyed similar advantages, it was only the Mercedes team that fully harnessed the concept by designing a chassis that fully utilized these benefits. On average, throughout all 19 races of the 2014 championship, the Mercedes car was 0.6 of a second faster than any other car in qualifying and nearly 19 seconds faster over the course of a race. The upcoming changes in Formula One for 2026 are going to be significant, comparable to a leap forward in terms of F1 standards. These changes will involve the introduction of a completely new electric system, new fuel, and various other adjustments that we will discuss in more detail later. In the previous engine regulations change, Red Bull achieved great success, winning 4 consecutive drivers' championships with Sebastian Vettel and using Renault engines. If things continue on their current path, by the time the 2026 regulations are implemented, Max Verstappen could secure 5 consecutive drivers' championships, and Red Bull could claim 4 consecutive constructors' championships, but this time with the Honda engine. This raises the question of whether history will repeat itself and if Red Bull will be overtaken by another manufacturer as the regulations undergo an overhaul. Looking at past experiences, it seems valid for Newey to be concerned. But should we, as fans, be worried? Hamilton has a massive fan base, making his team one of the most supported in the sport. While we all want to see our favorite team or driver win, do we truly want the sport to lack competitiveness? Many people are already expressing frustration with Red Bull's and Max's current dominance, and there are plenty of others who dislike Mercedes dominating the sport as they did in the early years of the new engine regulations starting in 2014. Nui's concerns hold weight, and they will be on everyone's mind during the initial testing sessions and early races. Hopefully, that scenario can be avoided. F1 has taken steps to prevent such a situation from occurring. One of the issues that needed addressing was how new engine manufacturers are treated. Initially, it seemed that Red Bull, Porsche, Audi, and possibly even Cadillac would join the fray. However, for now, only Audi has been confirmed as a new manufacturer receiving assistance. In the past, new manufacturers entering F1 as engine suppliers faced the challenge of catching up with those already on the grid. Honda struggles upon joining F1 1 year after the introduction of the V6 hybrid power units exemplified this difficulty, as they faced performance and reliability issues for multiple seasons. F1's Chief Technical Officer Pat Simmons has emphasized the importance of establishing a level playing field for new engine. He explained, "We set a lot of high-level objectives with the new regulations, and one of the high-level objectives for the 2026 power unit was to level the playing field for newcomers." And then he added, "The combustion on a current F1 engine is very, very different to the combustion on what I'd call a conversional one. It's damn nearly a diesel running on gasoline. It's a very complex combustion. It's not something where if you've been designing racing engines for years and suddenly you're tasked with a Formula 1 engine. It's quite different. So, we wanted to level the playing field a bit there, because getting people like Audi and Porsche, Cadillac have raised their heads. There are others I won't name. That's not a bad thing. It's quite good to have those names in the sport." So, what are these new regulations that the engine manufacturers are going to have to get their heads around? First off, the new F1 power units will run on a fully sustainable fuel, thanks to intense research and testing from Formula 1 and partner Aramco. This means that no new fossil carbon will be burned, with carbon instead to be derived from non-food sources, genuine municipal waste, or even out of the atmosphere. The technology we're discussing is still in the early stages of development and will be completely new to all manufacturers, not just the new ones entering the sport. The current 1.6-liter V6 turbocharged engine will undergo significant changes to incorporate a much more powerful electrical component. The MGU-K, which is the kinetic motor generator unit, will nearly triple the amount of electrical power generated by the current hybrid components. By capturing more braking energy that would otherwise be wasted, the aim is for the MGU-K to produce around 350 kilowatts of power in 2026. This is a substantial increase compared to the current 120 kilowatts deployed by the MGU-K and MGU-H. Interestingly, the new power increase will be achieved without the presence of an MGU-H. This component was deemed too expensive and complex for use outside of Formula 1. With a higher proportion of electrical power, the engines will require less fuel, resulting in reduced fuel consumption overall. However, the power units will still generate over 1,000 horsepower and could potentially be even louder. In 2013, 160 kilograms of fuel were used per race, which decreased to 100 kilograms in 2020. In 2026, F1 aims for each car to use only 70 kilograms of fuel during a Grand Prix. Additionally, F1 is shifting from controlling fuel flow through a maximum mass flow rate to a maximum energy flow rate. This means that more energy can be extracted from a kilogram of fuel, allowing for a lighter car and faster speeds. It's something worth considering. With the removal of complex components like the MGU-H, there is a possibility that turbo lag might return. This could make the cars more challenging to control when exiting corners. It also presents a greater challenge for drivers and strategists as they will need to decide when to conserve, and when to utilize the power unit's electrical potential. This shift in regulations is expected to put more control back into the hands of the drivers. It could allow an exceptional driver in a suboptimal car to potentially outperform the car's capabilities, which hasn't been easily achievable in recent years. As you can see, there are significant changes happening in Formula 1, providing ample opportunity for a team to discover something unique, just like Mercedes did in 2014. Adrian Newey's concerns are valid, and it's understandable for us to feel a bit worried too. However, hopefully, the FIA has learned from the past, and we can avoid a similar situation. Thanks for joining us as we delve into Adrian Newey's concern about the upcoming engine regulations in Formula 1. Will history repeat itself with another dominant team? Let us know in the comments below. And as always, thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.